Okay, well, welcome everyone again to Connect Wed Meets, and this time we've got I feel bad saying this, but it feels like an outsider because like it's turned a little bit sort of cliquey in the last weeks. It's been like the usual gang turning up, but in a nice way because I feel like the group that's been coming, we've really been bonding and connecting. So I feel it's like really special, Natalie, to have you here with us today. And yeah, we really hope that I know you're super busy, but I hope that you can yeah join in more and
Yeah,
yeah be with us more. We would love that.
yep, yep. I have two girls and they're both home from school right now. So obviously that makes things a little crazy throughout the week with their schedules and everything like that. But happy to be here today for sure.
Yes, sure. Happy to have you here. And yeah, the family thing, we get it. Well,
Yep.
I've got my family's dogs, so
Okay. Yep.
I don't have quite as much of a, I was going to say excuse, but reason. It's a solid reason. But
Yep.
yeah, we have dog things
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes you'll just hear like a really loud bark or like a chew toy or something in the background. So yeah.
Yeah. We have two dogs, and I told my husband as soon as they're gone, we're not having pets for a very long time.
Oh, what kind of dogs do you have? Let's
So
start
we have,
there.
yeah, so we have two dachshunds. We got our oldest one like the month after we got married, which would be 12 years ago in September. So he's just like an old man. So he's just like he's got all of the old man characteristics going on. And then our younger one, she's 9 and she's like super yappy and just very territorial. So they are just like their attitudes are something else.
Interesting combo. Sounds like they complement each other or maybe
Yeah,
fight
yep,
each
for sure.
other. Cool. Okay, so yes, introducing Natalie. She is one of our destination wedding photographers, specializing in documenting weddings with a fine art touch. So we have we have touched on fine art before in previous sessions, so it's beautiful to have another one of you present here today with us. But of course, everyone's unique. Everyone's got their own style. Everyone's got, when you dig deeper, there is something else that's making you tick. I'm not going to give it all away now at the start, but I want to delve into that in this session. I'm just going off what I've read about you, and it all sounds great. So can't wait to get into it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm excited. I'm very nervous. Like public speaking is like I'm great in like small groups, but public speaking like this is like very like intimidating.
oh,
So this is really good. It's getting me out of my comfort zone for sure.
oh, good. And I mean, none of us want this to feel intimidating. It's supposed to feel
Right.
like a, relaxed chat with a glass of wine, cup of coffee, depending on the time zone.
Yep, yep.
There you go, demonstrated,
Oh,
beautiful.
sorry. There's one daughter. Hi,
Uh,
baby. So sorry.
do we get a wave?
Okay, get some water. Sorry. We're good.
Or you gave her a
Her
task.
hair, I know, she's so blonde.
But yeah, like yeah, don't be nervous. It's gonna be fun, and
Perfect.
yeah, let's just treat it as a chit chat, which is what
Yep.
it is basically. Um, so yes, I you have been in the industry for 13 years.
I'm a senior citizen, it feels like.
But I think yeah, by wedding standards, that's quite a stint. And what's really impressive that I learned about you is you started in high school at 18
I
years old.
did. Yep, I did.
Wow.
I did. Yep. So I started second shooting for another photographer here in Ohio. And I knew like at 16 that that's something that like I wanted to do, what I wanted to dive into. And so I started doing that. And then 18 is when I shot like my own first wedding. So was just a little baby.
Whoa. How did that feel at 18 years old? I mean, that's quite a responsibility.
Um, yeah, it was pretty, it was what helped is like it was like a family friend. So like that helped a lot. It didn't feel like as much of pressure, but it still was a huge pressure. I think being able to like second shoot a lot beforehand helped a lot as well. because it's somebody else's wedding. The pressure isn't as much on you as a second shooter. And I got to experience some pretty crazy situations right from the get-go as a second shooter. So that kind of gave me a good like idea of like, okay, these are some things that can happen, and you very much just have to go with the flow on a wedding day for sure.
Interesting. Well, I want to come back to those crazy situations,
Yeah, absolutely.
talk about the challenges and the pains, and I
Yep.
think crazy fits in there somewhere. So we'll definitely come back to that. What I also loved about you, your start in high school, you kind of started early with everything because you married your high school sweetheart as well.
Yep.
So like the big life things kind of started for
Yep.
you.
Yep. Yeah,
That's
for sure.
yeah, and I also and I want to get into a little bit of this today as well. I love this post that you put out. I don't know, within the last week, I think pretty recent.
Oh, yeah, the 13 lessons. Yeah.
13 years,
Yep.
13 lessons. I think that's beautiful.
Yep.
And so wise. Again, I'm not gonna like give them away right now. I want to like I wrote one of them down that we can
Awesome.
dive into at some point. But
Yeah.
I was impressed by yeah, you seem to be wise beyond your years.
Thank you.
With,
Yeah.
with the
It's
lesson.
definitely one of those things where, like, again, like public speaking's not a big thing for me. Um, but over this past year, like I really have been taking a journey like for myself and in my business. And like what I've realized is like so many people are in the same boat. Like I think it's very easy in this industry to feel very much alone. Or like you see what other people are doing on like Instagram and social media and all this stuff. And you like it's very hard not to like judge yourself or think like, oh, well, I'm not where they're at or anything like that. But like there are so many people that are in the same boat as me and as yourself. So really challenging. That was one of my goals this year was to just be more honest and open with everybody, not making it seem like we have it all together because we don't like at all whatsoever, and just being honest and open with everybody.
Yeah. Welcome to ConnectWed.
Yep,
That's
100%.
that's what it's all about. And
Yep.
I know I can say personally since joining ConnectWed, the word I would use is relief. Like
Yes,
felt like a relief to feel the way you put it that we're all in the
100%.
same boat, and that kind of relief builds that connection that you build.
Yes.
So, um,
Yep.
yeah, I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so refreshing, like seeing like, people chime in and like send messages or, comment or ask questions on there. And I'm like, I'm so glad to know that like I am not alone with my thinking or where I'm at. Like it has been very, very refreshing being here for sure.
Yes. And well, at the same time that you do have experiences, you do have things from your own life, your own career that you
Hmm.
bring in. That's new and not necessarily everyone has experienced, and that's also a big part of this community is
Yes.
learning from each other and bringing
100%.
bringing the newness. So on that note, we want to learn all about you and what you've got to bring, and
Awesome.
I kind of want to go uh, back in time to when
Okay.
I started. I learned about this beautiful childhood thing where you took your granddad's camera or something like
Yeah.
that. Maybe
Yep.
maybe you could just touch on that little memory.
Yeah.
I feel like
I
that's
love like all of the deep diving you've done because like those weren't questions at all like on the email that you sent. So I love the deep diving it's like those celebrity
nice.
interviews where they're like, how did you know that? So yeah, so little backstory. I have six siblings and we're all very, very tight. Growing up, like we were homeschooled as well. So we were just with each other consistently. And we would go to my grandparents' house on the weekends, and that was like the best thing ever. And we were going through like my grandpa's office and different stuff like that. And I found like a Polaroid camera and then another film camera. And so it started out by using this super old Polaroid camera. I mean, this thing was like beefy. I mean, it was big. And, it spat out the giant Polaroid photos. And so what I remember doing is like going through my grandparents' house and like just getting like clothes and random things and like dressing up my siblings and, posing them and having them model for me. Like I know there's one shoot that we did where they were dressed up as like Western people and they had like the cowboy hat and the bandanas around their neck, all of that kind of stuff. So that's really like where it started for me. I mean, I was probably 7 or 8, and just loved that joy of like getting that picture and seeing what it would look like. And then over the next few years, slowly moving to like the other film camera, the 35 millimeter, and like the excitement of having that film developed and like going to Walgreens or wherever and seeing those photos. It was just like, it was such a rush. And then just having those memories, I think was, the biggest thing for me. Um, and then when I was old enough to babysit, started saving up money for my digital camera. So it just slowly evolved. But film and taking pictures, saving those memories has been such a passion of mine for such a long time.
Wow. That's such a I'm gonna say it's a rare. I think it's a rare thing when from such an early age,
Hmm.
you have that clarity and then that continuity.
Yeah.
Just it all evolved from there. Like so many of us go through our life like questioning, like who am I?
Yeah.
What's my
Yep.
purpose? What's my thing? And I think it's so great you found that so early on, and I just love the story. And I wonder, do you have those photos that you took as a
I
kid?
do. I have some saved in like my keepsake box. And then like I have once I started doing more of like the 35 millimeter, having photos of like my siblings playing and stuff like that. And like that's just like such a cherished thing. I don't know if you knew this. My mom passed away very unexpectedly a couple years ago. So for me, like she was one of those people that she didn't like being in front of the camera a lot. Um, was very much like, oh, I don't look good today or something like that. And it's just one of those things where like any photos that I do have of her, with all of us together are just such cherished things, that I want people to experience the same thing. I want people to have those memories of their loved ones, that they're not saying, oh, I wish we had done this or I wish we had taken this photo. So it's just always like I'm the annoying person at family gatherings that's like, here, let's take a photo of this, just because, I have lived through a loss. So I do know what that's like. So yeah, so they're definitely very, very cherished for me.
Yes. Th Thank you first of all for sharing that, and it's really sorry to hear that. Um, yeah, and it's just, isn't it amazing that we we have all these different sides and depths to us,
Hmm.
and this sounds like such a beautiful, cherished part of yours.
Yeah.
And I can't help this as a storyteller, but always getting so excited about stuff, these details, and
Yeah.
being like, "Oh, is it on your website? Like, do you have
Yeah.
pictures
Yep.
you took as
Yep.
a kid? They're on there."
They're not on the website. I've shared some like through like my Instagram feed and stuff like that, or like my stories. But yeah, I mean, I mean, they're such a big part of who I am, me growing up, all of those types of things.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, sure. Okay, beautiful. And and tell that's like when you were sort of a kid, and you mentioned how things evolved into you eventually
hmm.
a digital camera, but and this turning point, which was you sort of last year of high school, you mentioned it was friend's wedding of
Yep.
yeah. So
Yep.
how did that happen? Again, was that just quite organic or
So for me, like when I was in high school, I was very much the annoying person, like constantly posting like on Facebook, like, hey, if you need photos, like I'll do whatever. And I mean, like I literally did whatever, like senior photos, newborn photos. I still have the photos for my like my first newborn session. And I'm like, what was I doing? But it was all learning. And like I'm trying to think what other things I did, just like friends dressing up, all of this stuff, like just like constantly posting on Facebook. If you need photos, I will do it. I will shoot it. I will take whatever. So I became like basically our homeschool group's like main senior photographer. But I always knew I wanted to get into weddings. I loved weddings. I loved anything about weddings. I knew I wanted to be involved in like the wedding community somehow. Sorry, my daughter's coming down the stairs. So if you hear noises going on, that's what's happening. But I always knew that I wanted to end up in the wedding community. So then finally, I just reached out to this photographer. I'm like, I know this is crazy. I don't, I'm still in high school, but if you would take a second shooter, like I would love to just shadow you. You don't even have to pay me. Like I just want to follow you around, see how it works, all of that kind of stuff. And immediately he was like, sure, absolutely. Do you want to shoot this Saturday? And I was like, oh my gosh, like I remember running to my mom and being like, he wants me to shoot with him. Like it was just like such like a big deal to like I was either 16 or 17 at the time and just being like, I want to do this. So shot that wedding with him and I was like, yep, that's it. I'm done. Like I this is what I want to do for like the rest of my life. Like it was just like I just love everything about weddings and, very much like seeing like the family dynamics and seeing how people interact with each other. It was just such a thrill. So then slowly started shifting to doing less of other stuff and, focusing more on posting like, hey, I would love to do your wedding. I'm super new, but I'll shoot it, super cheap, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, so did our family friend's wedding and it just was like this, I mean, it just shot off from there.
Oh, I love that. I love your energy, your excitement. Bursting through the
I feel it's
screen.
like a little intense for like a Zoom call, so sorry.
Oh no, no, we love intense. We love intense. What it's
Okay,
all
good.
about. Yeah, that's what we want.
Yeah,
Yeah, we want to, yeah, speak from your heart, let it all
yeah,
out. And yeah, again, like respect, especially at such a young age,
yeah,
putting yourself out there, first of
yep,
all those posts, and
yep,
then having the courage to put yourself forward,
yep,
out on a limb, sticking your neck out and saying
yep,
that takes a lot of guts uh,
yep,
for adults, let alone
yep,
teenagers. So
yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, it definitely like it makes you like starting that young, like I was forced to learn a lot of lessons early. Um, you know, Dealing with the people that are like unhappy with something or anything like that, which is just no one likes dealing with that, but they're all necessary lessons that we all have to, go through and grow from.
Yeah, absolutely. And which leads me on to the next bit. So you've put yourself out there, you did your first
Hmm.
wedding, you're learning as you go, and eventually you've developed your vibe, your
Hmm.
style. So let's talk about you today then. So what
Okay.
would you say makes your work that, really feels like you,
Hmm.
and kind of sets you apart from
Hmm.
the other stuff that's out there?
I would say my style definitely leans more towards like fine art. Um, for me, like when I meet with couples, I tell them, I'm like, I want, obviously we're going to get your candid photos and everything like that and those candid memories, but like I want you to have like those cherished photos that like you can put on your wall, kind of like art pieces. You know what I mean? Like bridal portraits. Like I love bridal portraits and like making sure we have plenty of time for bridal portraits. Just so that they have those photos on themselves that when like their grandkids see them, they're like, dang, grandma, you were a babe, like those types of just very like elegant looking. Um, I would say, that's probably the best way to describe my true to color. When they look back at their photos, I want them to be able to say, yep, that's exactly what our florals look like. That's what the bridesmaid dresses look like. I just want them to have that vivid picture as much as possible so that when they're looking back at their photos, it's just like the day of.
Mm. Yeah, I love that, and they get to kind of relive it in a way and
Yeah.
triggers those emotions all over.
Yeah. Yes.
and I see you use words like artful and elegant,
Mm-hmm.
timeless
Mm-hmm.
to describe the sort of aesthetics and the feel of your.
Mm-hmm.
But then let's talk a bit about how you are with your people, with your clients.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, connection with them and being very sort of in the moment is
Yep.
important to you. So maybe you could like share a little bit about how
Mm-hmm.
you work with your clients.
So I'm very much like, I tell couples, I'm like, poses and everything, it's not a one size fits all. Everybody acts differently, everybody interacts differently. Everybody, not everybody's like super cuddly with each other, So I'm very much about getting to learn about my couples when they hire me, sending them questionnaires like, tell me about yourselves. What do you guys like doing? What's some things that you do for date nights, that type of thing, just so I have like already a good idea of their relationship, and then during like their engagement session, really just feeling them and seeing like, okay, they're really leaning towards these poses or anything like that. Some red flags that I kind of get if I have an inquiry like, oh, these are like, these are the poses that we really like, but we're not a touchy feely couple, like that type of thing. So I always like try to encourage my couples, like, hey, you want your like true self to come out in the photos. When you look back at your photos, you want to feel like that was actually me and not, you pretending to be somebody else. I feel like with Instagram and social media, they see all of these Pinterest, inspired photos, and a lot of times they're either styled shoots, or it's however that couple interacted, and it's not how they would interact. So I always just tell my couples, like don't worry so much about like other people and like what you see. We're going to focus on how you guys interact as a couple. And then, day of the wedding, like making sure to get photos of the family, of the people that are there, them interacting. I always try to encourage couples, spend as much time with your guests as possible, because that's the only time that you're going to be with that many people in the same room. So make sure you spend that time with your guests and getting all of those memories.
Yeah, wow, I I love that. Like getting to the core of what,
Yep.
these weddings are all about, tradition
Mm-hmm.
at least. And as you say, things have kind of taken a turn, especially with
Yeah.
social media. So
Yeah.
I can imagine you bring quite some relief to those couples who might think, and they're influenced by all that stuff
Mm-hmm.
out there, that
Yeah.
they do all that. So yeah, I love that. And sticking with your couples, your people,
Mm-hmm.
I know you take on a limited number of weddings each year.
10 tops.
10 tops, that's your number.
Yep. That
Okay.
is my number. When I first started, and of course, everybody's situation's differently. Some people like they have to shoot an X amount. For me, I'm blessed that I can, say 10 is my max. And I feel like that's me being able to serve my couples, with my full self. I'm not spread thin. Um, I've experimented with different numbers and I'm like, it has to be 10 tops. Like that's just, I'm doing a disservice to my couples if I'm spread thin. So yeah, I do 10 max a year, and then I don't do double header weddings because again, like I just want to be able to fully focus on one couple a weekend instead of, having to juggle the thoughts of like, because they, as people in the wedding industry, like weddings can tend to blend together. You're like, oh, what's this timeline and what's happening today? All of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I only take 10 on a year.
Mm, okay, yeah, I love that. And then you can give even more of yourself and
Mm-hmm.
be more present with them and like I can imagine if you only do 10 every year, but you tell me, like,
Mm-hmm.
are you having to be quite selective sometimes with who you work with, or have you got it down to sort of always attracting your couples?
I
How?
would say now I've really now it's really narrowed down. Like I think people like I've shown enough like of my style, and showing like this is what I love shooting. These are the couples I love working with. So I feel like it's really narrowed itself down. I still have those meetings where, we'll meet and we just know like it's not a good fit, and that's fine. Like totally, no problem whatsoever. Um, but it's beneficial for both of us. It's beneficial for the couple because like I'm not the right photographer for everybody. We have certain people that we are the right fit for. So it's really worked itself out, I would say, over the last couple of years. It's taken a while. I've been doing this for 13 years. But I would say over the last couple of years, it's really shifted and narrowed itself down.
Mm. That's great when it happens sort of
Yeah.
naturally, organically, and I mean, if it's happened in the last couple of years, that's a great message to all of us, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
yourself who's starting out that things
Yep.
take time, even for the ones who are
Yep.
established,
Yeah,
it's
I mean, like I said, it took a while. I mean, 10 years into my business, and now I'm at the point that I'm like getting an inquiry that I'm like, oh my gosh, we're gonna gel immediately. Like we're gonna, get along really well immediately.
that's great. And actually that was coming back to your great Instagram post. That was your first lesson of your 13 lessons, wasn't it? You're not the right fit for everyone, and that's okay. Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. So a great message, and I think Archana maybe put out a post on Connected, I think, or a question about like, is it okay to turn down couples and say no? But
Yeah.
I think that was maybe if you realize that they're not a fit for your values, probably getting more a sort of integrity check. But it sounds like you've got it down like now to it basically happening naturally.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
cool.
for sure. And I think the question of is it okay to turn down clients? Absolutely. Because, it's doing a disservice to the couple if you meet with them and you're like, we don't get along at all. I'm not matching, I've had brides reach out and they're like, these are like our inspiration pics and like they're super dark and moody or just not my style at all. And they're going to be disappointed, with my work because it's not it's not that it's not good, but it doesn't match what they're wanting. And so I'm not going to change myself, to fit with what they're looking for. Instead, I'm going to say, hey, I think so and so would be a much better fit for you. I have a great group of photographer friends that we, pass info to each other like, hey, this person's looking for this style of photography. I think you would be a great fit. Are you available? So it really helps when you have like, a group of people that you can reach out to and ask if they're available, rather than taking on a couple that doesn't fit with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. Sorry if you heard a motorbike going in the path.
It's okay. My kids are running around. It's great. We're even.
Like right by a main road, and we just get these. I don't know what it is about these like noisy.
Remind me where you're at again.
I'm in Germany, in the middle of Germany,
Okay.
and
That's so cool.
I keep telling people I'm in a peaceful countryside area, but there's really noisy motorbikes driving past.
I love it. That's great.
Like you've told us about your passion. I mean, we felt your passion and your energy coming through in a good way. You mentioned some of the things being like those bridal portraits and
Hmm.
like is there one, two, three things that you could pinpoint about what you do that you absolutely love the most? You feel like you could do all day, never get tired of?
Oh, man. I
Tough
mean,
question.
just it is a tough question. Like again, like I love every aspect of a wedding day. Um, like the getting ready moments, um, the dad seeing the bride for the first time, first look, all of those kinds of, I mean, just those in between moments are so special to be able to witness and experience. I think being able to experience like something so intimate is it's truly a blessing. And until like you work a wedding and you experience those things, that goes for a planner, photographer, videographer, all, even you, Prit, like what you do. Um, it's just it's just so special being part of something intimate. So I don't know if like I could narrow down like a couple things that I love on a wedding day because I truly just love the whole day for
Oh,
sure.
that I really love that because I mean you didn't talk about your camera at all. Or
Oh,
like
sorry if that was the
no
question
no
you were
no no
asking.
no
I'm so sorry.
no no don't be sorry. That's a like genuinely open-ended question. It's about what you love and what stands out to you. So to
Hmm.
me that just tells me, shows us that it's this is deep stuff that
Hmm.
you're doing. It's meaningful stuff and
Yeah.
it goes beyond. just taking photos, not
Yeah.
to sort of make that sound small, but
Yeah.
it's bigger, it's deeper. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
and speaking of which, do you have your own big dream, big vision, core mission that you're doing as a photographer in this world?
Honestly, like I think the biggest thing that, as far as like me personally, like my mission, like when I get people in front of my camera, like I want them to feel cared for. I want them to feel seen. I want them to feel valued. Um, I would say those are like my top three things. When I get somebody in my camera, I want them to feel, just that them as a person, they're valued and, they're special. Um, I think I'm in the same boat where we get in front of a camera and we're like, oh, don't, watch this side. This is my good side, that type of thing. But just making somebody feel like they can be themselves in front of the camera and that themselves is good enough. You know, I I would say that's probably my biggest core mission with my photography business. Are those things right there.
Wow. And again, like in terms of depth, I think it almost doesn't get as good as that in terms of like people feeling they can be themselves
Yeah.
around you, like totally themselves. And I can imagine that just makes for, even better pictures
Mm-hmm.
and memories. And or you mentioned the craziness that you switching gears now from dreams and missions to
Yep.
craziness. Like I'd love to talk more about or learn more about that from you. Like
Mm-hmm.
what have been some of the craziest, the most challenging, toughest bits for you as a photographer?
Oh my goodness. I listen, people are crazy on wedding days. I one of the first weddings that, thankfully I wasn't the lead shooter. I was still with this other photographer. And I mean, the wedding got called off the day of. Like literally everyone was getting ready and the wedding got called off immediately. There was a spat between the bride and groom. Some stuff came out that the wedding couldn't go any further. Um, and one of the things that I noticed was, the photographer wasn't freaking out about the wedding or anything like that. Like he was just so focused on, you know, is everyone okay? Like, what can I do to support you? What's going to make this transition the easiest? All of that kind of thing, those kinds of things. And for me, that was like one of the biggest lessons for me is, people come first on a wedding day. So if something's going on, if something's going wrong, just supporting them. However, obviously timelines, fall behind all the time with weddings. I had a wedding last month where everything was like an hour and a half behind because of hair and makeup. Like it was just a disaster and the bride's freaking out and the entire time I'm like it's okay, like as long as you get to your ceremony on time, like the rest will fall into place, like don't worry about it, like let's just focus on like the next thing. um so I'd say those are like the biggest lessons that you just you have to roll with a wedding day and support the people however they need it.
Yeah, I love that. Saying that it's all about the people. I mean, there's
Hmm.
so much going on at weddings, isn't there?
Yeah.
Lots of people.
Lots of drunk people, lots of
Yeah,
craziness. Yep.
yeah, yeah. So much going on, and like all those little things that people have been stressing about for months and months.
Yes.
And but you're right in those situations. Sometimes you have to sort of drop all that and just go straight
Yep.
to what matters.
Yep. Yep.
That's cool that you learned that and you learned it so early on as
Yeah.
well. Um, and has there been anything, if you're willing to share, that's been personally trying and tough in your own journey over those past 13 years, that you've overcome, or maybe that you're still finding a bit tricky to navigate?
I would say like the loss of my mom was a pretty big thing with my business. obviously like I had just done a wedding like the weekend before she had passed. And so everything like, gets put on pause. Like, and you just kind of go into the scramble mode of like, okay, how do I operate a business while also dealing with personal things? And, I know this isn't the case for everybody, but thankfully, like everyone was so understanding and like, take your time, do whatever you need. Um, but in that moment, you go, this comes first, family comes first, like business can wait. I would say that was probably, a really big challenge for me personally. Um, I would say, another thing that I will 100% be honest and admit is, it's still hard going through social media and seeing, other people and what they're doing and being like, oh my gosh, like I wish that was me. I wish I was doing this or, whatever, the comparison thing. It's so easy as business owners going through social media. So one of the things that I've done is I have said, okay, from X time to X time, this is when I'm doing social media posts. This is when I'm, checking in on social media. I have, a few people that, group that like I go through and like, let's see if they have an update or anything. And then just getting off. Like, I think that's been one of the things that has helped me personally, mentally and with my business is not spending hours and hours on social media. I think about when I first started as a photographer, like Instagram had just started, Facebook had just started. Like it was all so new. And there wasn't this overload of information or people's business in your face. And so I think over the last few years, really, um, you know, deciding like this will be the time that I get on social media and just like piecing out, see you later. I'll check in tomorrow or whatever. Um, or if you need to hire a social media manager, if you have the means to do that, have somebody do that for you. If that's something that you struggle with, a comparison thing or not feeling, I've had wedding planners that have turned me down because I didn't have X amount of followers. And that hurts. Like that's like, but we've all been there. We've all, and it's hard too, because, obviously not everybody has their followers organically. Maybe they've paid for followers and that's fine, whatever. People can run their business however. Um, but, it hurts when somebody's like, oh, hey, we're going with somebody that has like, 5 more thousand followers than you or something like that. But I would say that's something over the past couple of years that I noticed like my mental space was not good when I would get on social media. So just developing that healthy relationship with social media, I would say is really, really key, especially in today's age, because everything is so evolved around social media.
Absolutely, and think that. So thanks for sharing that. And I think one that probably everyone can relate to. Just the
Yep.
topic of social media
Yep.
being such a huge draw, or can be such a huge,
Yep.
sucking away at
Yep.
time if we're not careful, if we don't set those boundaries that you talked about between X
Yep.
time and X time, and also the mindset stuff as well
Yep.
that you touched on, so important. And I'm sorry to hear you had those experiences. Did those wedding planners literally say that explicitly to you?
Yes, yes, yep. They said the couple, was interested. However, it seems like, you're not very active on social media, and that's something that's very important to them. And so, like, again, like that just narrows down, your clients and everything. Because obviously, like, if being seen on social media is like a top priority for them and not their own wedding, you know what I mean? Like, you hear that, but like, that's what social media has done to people. Like, it's just become such I'll call it an epidemic in how people act and the way that they think. Saying like, oh, well, we're going to hire this person or we'll hire this person because they can get our wedding featured or anything like that. Um, I truly feel like social media has just really changed the wedding game as a whole, for sure.
Definitely, no doubt. And like you've literally seen it. You've seen that
Yeah.
change from the
Yep.
start of your career to where you
Yep.
are today. So
Yep. Well, and it's crazy too, because like I was going through like my old social media posts, like when I first started, and like it was so easy for like your stuff to be seen and all of this stuff. And now with like the Instagram algorithm and everything like that, like, I'll post something, I'm like, well, yay, I got like 20 likes today. Like it's great. But it does, it messes with your mental headspace unless you protect it or take action, to not let it affect your mood or your mental headspace.
And again, that was one of your 13 lessons, wasn't it? About that
Yeah.
number of followers doesn't define your worth,
Yep.
value.
Yep.
Such a huge one. And
Yep.
yeah, thank you for putting that out there because there's so many people who need to hear that,
Yeah.
including the people who are like filtering you out. Because
100%.
yeah, so,
100%.
but I suppose in a way, it's also helping you to filter out the people you don't want to work with, in a sense. I know that's how I would personally feel, but yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And is there a way that we as a ConnectWed community can support you with your goals, with your career growth, with anything that you feel that you could gain from this community?
I mean, just having this space is like so refreshing. Like I know I haven't been on for like the Wednesday chats or whatever, but like just being able to like get on there and like see, everybody talking with each other or like the different topics that, have been posted. Um, it's just so refreshing to have a space like that now. I don't feel like, there's been like small groups or, other groups that have started that were very community based or just being honest and talking about, stuff that people don't want to talk about in the wedding industry. So just having this space has really helped me, I would say, in the last few months. Seeing that other people are in the same boat that I am, or dealing with the same things that I deal with on, because running your own business can feel very lonely. Um, just you're on your own. So having a community that you can reach out to has been really, really refreshing.
Yeah, great. Like that's music to Ajna's ears.
She's,
And the big grin on her face and
yeah,
into all of us like that's what this is about and
yep, 100%.
to feel like you're getting that support and that it feels so
Yep.
refreshing already is great to hear. Um, and just turning it around then, what is it that you would love to bring to this community? How would you love to serve this community?
I mean, honestly, like anytime somebody like wants to talk about an issue with their business or, needs support or whatever, like I'm here, I still have my things that I struggle with, just like everybody else does. So, if somebody just needs like an ear to listen to, just anything, or you're stuck somewhere, you're like, hey, I don't know what next step to take with my business. Like, I don't have it all figured out. I'm still learning as I go. Like, we're all in that place. So my inbox is always open, or if somebody, wants to chat on the phone, like I'm here, I'm open, to just listening to people and seeing what they need.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And we're gonna eventually put out snippets of these interviews and including things like this. So not that we're gonna like hold you against
Right, right.
hold you to something, but just it helps to put these things out there when people
Yep,
like yourself come along with those offers of support,
yeah,
genuine offers of support.
yep.